Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to host this episode on Global Crossroads today. With me, Johanna. Thank you very much, Johanna, for accepting the invitation. And
Thank
it's a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you about a topic that is very dear to me, and I think it's definitely a great opportunity to hear more from your side about this topic, which is that of culture and creative industries. Johanna is an expert in the sector, but of course, I would like to perhaps give you the floor for a very brief introduction.
Sure, thank you. No, it's really a pleasure to be here. I hope that we can come up with some inspiring material. So, well, as you said, I've been working actually in the culture and creative sectors all my life. Started out from performing arts, and then I've been really active as expert, researcher, entrepreneur, consultant. So in some way, from a professional technical aspect, there are really a lot of crossroads already. And yeah, Swedish national, but based in different countries abroad since more than 15 years ago. And I've been working with all kinds of fields in culture, EU funding, funded projects, and cultural or management of cultural sector networks, and capacity building, policy advice. I'm really interested in how arts and culture are excellent methods in culture cohesion, community resilience, and how culture and arts can work in prevention, peace and security. And then I have been working, of course, a lot in the context of international relations, culture in the context of international relations and creative economy development. Mhm.
Thank you so much, and it's really great to hear how these topics also have let's say quite a wide range of starting points where that you touched upon, from, as you mentioned, arts and culture, but also community resilience and development at large, which is great. I think it's definitely not by chance that the first global crossroad that we focus on is the one of culture, because, as you mentioned, I think it has really in this world of quite, let's say, many uncertainties and crises that are ongoing. I think culture can really have a disruptive power of also bringing people together. So I would really look forward to hearing about the global crossroad relating to culture and the creative sector that you would like to introduce today. So giving you the floor on the crossroad topic.
Sure, thank you so much. No, I mean the topic that I'm addressing today is what I call arts and design based collaboration and cross innovation. And it's a topic that I've been looking at since, well, quite a long time back, or long, it depends on what perspective you have, but maybe 2009 or 10. Starting to see really, how is this championed, and is it championed, and what is happening, and from the aspects of artistic interventions and so on. But what I maybe want to start with is just to give like a definition of what is this topic, because that is always really important. So what I mean with this, when we talk now today, is when professionals from arts and design disciplines share and exchange information, working methods, skills, mindsets, competency, and approaches to other sectors, and can be traditional industries, to collaborate in new ways, and with other professionals from other fields. And then examples on these other fields and sectors where this type of collaboration can be realized. Well, can be a very long list, but just to give a couple of ideas. So research and technology, something that you have probably seen, many of you who are watching, and you too, Bogdan, and social cohesion and resilience that we already mentioned, touched upon, health and well-being, business and industry, urban development, pedagogy, education, sustainability, peace and security, etc., etc. And there is really, a huge potential of tapping into the skills and mindsets of arts and design professional in these contexts. So, I mean, why is this practice or these practices? Because of course they are of varying nature. Why are they important? Well, for me, like if you look at this from a culture and creative sector standpoint, it's because it can really improve and diversify, improve working conditions for professionals within the culture and creative sectors, diversify revenue flow. It allows, business model innovation. And this is really about working in a much more meaningful way. There are many arts and design professionals, and especially I think in the traditional arts disciplines, these are challenging sectors. There are many young people aspiring careers in these kind of fields, and there is not opportunity for everyone. So many people also end up in, parallel efforts, but that are less meaningful for these persons because this is not what they want to do. But anyway, so these contexts really allow, meaningful usage of skills. And then, I mean, going away from the culture and creative sectors, this also means, innovation methods and economic growth in other sectors and fields. It is really an opportunity to work through an intersectoral engagement on many different levels. And we know that we cannot solve complex issues in our society today, in the world, in silos. We have to collaborate. I think we need to tap into all of those opportunities because clearly it is something that is lacking on all levels, on a company level, on organizational level, on public administration levels. And, there are many kinds of policy fields that these practices are relevant to. Then, so it, upskilling of workforce, not only in the culture creative sectors, across sectors, in innovation, in foresight, in industry and growth policy, social and educational policy, sustainable development policy. So there is a huge opportunity really in these fields of practices. So maybe to mention something about what would be like the challenges for moving ahead in these directions. So like beyond what I would see as like technical challenges, as there are lacking ecosystems today. I have not been able to see that there is, on national levels, one single national level ecosystem that is really, how do you say, making this kind of, or support these kind of practices to grow and not even less to prosper. There is no education. Well, there is education, there is some vocational training, but these efforts are really a needle in a haystack. There are business schools addressing also these kind of approaches in, more, how do you say, transversal innovation, management kind of perspectives. And what's interesting to see that it's actually there are more interesting and wider perspective, I think, in business schools than there is available in arts education and training. But anyway, so there is a lack of intersectoral readiness on public administration level that I've already mentioned. But then talking about like the culture and creative sectors, I think that in Europe anyway, we have still an issue a bit of the mindset, what is art and culture and how do we work around this, these discussions, old discussions about what is, the value of artistic expression. And I mean, we are very lucky in Europe, meaning that we have a very long and deep-rooted culture in artistic practice and in artistic expression. We have ecosystem and public administrations that support this still, and much more than in other places in the world. So, it is kind of also a responsibility to some sort in the society. But so this also means that we have a kind of entrenched view, and I have seen a lot of resistance as well. And I know, for example, in art academies on educational level, on high level education, some art academies, they feel that it would be against their policy to even engage in, working with the art and culture in these ways that these practices actually mean, because it only for them boils down to the artistic, technical development of the artistic discipline in question. So I think that, we really need an exchange of mindsets here. Mm-hmm. So, if you look at the US, for example, I think it's interesting because it's a newer continent, it's a newer culture, and it's a lot of a different mindset around business, entrepreneurship, investment, and, how you work around your, create a business idea and how you leverage and optimize, what you're doing. And I think that there's a lot of give and take. I'm not saying that one approach is better than the other, but I think that really this mindset and like the reframing the value proposition a bit of the culture and creative sectors is very important. But of course, that is done also by raising awareness of what are the real benefits of these practices, and then looking at also, the complex world we're living in. Artists and designers are often among the first, some of them as well, to respond to different issues, in their artistic practice. So it's a matter of a process, and I think it just have to happen, step by step. Companies and organizations as art institutions, culture centers, culture and creative sector clusters and hubs, they could, develop the intermediary expertise and function, and, thus also have different business model, a newer business model practices, which means that they would also have different kind of newer revenue flows. So yeah, it's this role about the intermediary, which is really, this person or organization who is making the link, who has insight and understanding of the arts and the design disciplines, how these function and work, and also how the other sectors and field, that are object for the specific the collaboration. That's like the core. That's the core competence, and these organizations become very, very important in contexts where we have such a lacking ecosystem and education and training to, bring to actually understand what these practices professionally look like and mean.
Thank you very much. You are based in Brussels, so I think you are exposed very much to the EU arena, and also how to call them, places where the ideas are also being brainstormed and also pitched to at the European level. I was wondering, do you see any solution currently already being prepared, or do you see the space actually? So is the EU attentive to picking new ideas, and if so, what shape this could have for the future to be relaunched, and also, let's say, for this Crossroad to be explored further?
Okay. In terms of the EU, so, I wrote a policy brief this year for the Northern Dimension Partnership on Culture, and I devoted the part of that policy brief to following the practices, like looking at associated language and discourse to what could translate to what these practices really are. So I looked into different policy documents, strategies and programs, publications since, 2009, 2010. And you can see that there is a very varying discourse and language used moving from artistic interventions a lot around 2010 to more, arts and technology and maybe some more service-based engagements. And well, then, there is the notion, of course, of arts and design in Bauhaus, in different programs. And what I see, is just that there is a challenge of, focusing on the intrinsic, giving arena to the intrinsic development of these practices, and not focusing on other objectives. So I think there is still much more room to actually create programs and funding programs and collaboration contexts where you really address what actors are important and professionals are important, who do we need to bring together to actually develop the understanding of what these practices are and how they advance. So those frameworks have to be developed. And I do understand that, like, within the Creative Europe program, it's already a kind of smaller program in comparison to other EU funds. So it is a challenge to actually bring in these notions there. There is a cross-sectorial program there, but it's more about intra-culture and creative sectors focus, and not with collaboration with other sectors. I think there is a lot of opportunity, of course, to advance on these topics within Horizon Europe, and also, of course, EIT, culture and creativity. The multi-annual program, which has big ambitions to build on a completely other different-minded culture and creative sector ecosystem, where you bring in much more of these notions of investment, companies, entrepreneurship. And here, though, it is of such importance as well to really be able to bring in the small actors, the micro-level entrepreneurs, and also smaller entrepreneurs. But I think that there is a plan for that. But yes, there is an enormous way to go still to reach where we should reach, but keeping in mind as well that, of course, it's the national level policy that is so important, that can really develop the ecosystems that are needed on national and even local levels. Local levels and cities are extremely important, because this means that you can, at arm's length, have a completely other view and understanding for the ecosystem, and not only the culture and creative sectors, but the other sectors, and seeing how you can bring together actors and stakeholders for awareness raising, for capacity building, and pilot programs and so on. So, and I think that also, on an EU level as on national levels, there is still a struggle with this intersectoral readiness. How do we efficiently cooperate across departments, directorates, ministries, keeping in mind that all of these people have different agendas and different priorities. So how do we develop these interministerial working groups, interdepartmental working groups, to where we can focus on these topics? That is really, really important.
Is any of the member states, any of the countries part of the EU already more advanced than others? Perhaps is any of them implementing some of the structures that you were mentioning, and that the other countries could learn from?
I think that there are dispersed good and better practices on all levels. I do not have, the thing is, you cannot say that there has been any comparative, deep, thorough study, identifying all of the policy documents and what these have translated into. But Finland has many interesting initiatives, Germany as well. Mm-hmm. There is happening many things on the intermediary side, activating intermediaries, strategies. research reports, the UK, obviously, the Netherlands. I think that these are countries that, you know, I am able to see reappearing kind of frequently, and where there are, you know, on all levels, both academic level, more entrepreneurial level, organizational levels, and also more on policy level.
Perfect. Well understood. Thank you. I was wondering whether artificial intelligence, do you feel like in the, I'm sure there's a need for policy and regulations around the topic of AI. And do you feel like the arts and creative sector professionals are included enough in this process of consultations and leading to policy?
No, yeah, that's absolutely a very important question. And, you know, then AI, as any other area, first of all, I mean, artists and designers, if we look at the nature of arts and design-based collaboration and cross-innovation, these professionals, I mean, as you can establish collaboration around one of the fields that we have talked about, AI can obviously be another one, and regulation around AI, how it is used and how it is developed. Then talking about if artists are enough addressed in policy context, I would say absolutely no. I think that we can see a lot of cultural institutions, cultural policymakers, culture programmers, talking about arts and design and artists and designers and culture and creative sector professionals. I mean, hopefully in many of those contexts, these discourses are based on research, on studies that have been made and consultations that have been made around in these sectors among these professionals. But what is absolutely true is that artists and designers are not at all enough being brought to the table in policy development of their own sectors. And here I cannot, you know, this varies from every context, obviously, from every country, but as a generality, for sure not. So this is really a way to go forward. And here again, you know, we come back to the intersectoral readiness and, you know, going beyond our comfort zones. But it's obviously as well, you know, being, you know, inviting someone for a true and honest and you know, dialogue that, you know, really will bring something forward. And of course that is needed. And of course those contexts have to be set so, you know, everyone can be have confidence and, you know, be confident in participating in them. But, you know, this is an example of any other, you know, cross-sector collaboration, cross-innovation. And these are by nature not comfortable contexts, because it means that you will always move beyond your comfort zone. But if we don't move beyond the comfort zone, we will never move ahead. We will never find anything new.
And I think which better way to conclude today's episode than this wish. Indeed, I think it's a very good suggestion, that of always considering also outside of the comfort zone, and hopefully the way forward will be inclusive of this suggestion. Johanna, thank you very much for your availability today, and for this great lecture on some of the crossroads that the creative sector and cultural sector are facing today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bogdan.
And,